What is up, everyone? Paul from Timeless Gaming here, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to do the ASTRA MALORUM Easter egg. To start off, the best weapon I would suggest for doing this is going to be the M34 Nova line, or any of the assault rifles inside of the game, as long as you have some extended mags on to give yourself extra ammo. Any of these weapons, including the Mirage, is still completely really good, even though they patched it yesterday as well. It is still an amazing weapon to use. For our field upgrades, I would suggest Aether Shroud, or if you're playing co-op, definitely Healing Aura, at least having one or two people with Healing Aura on them just in case. But again, most people with Aether Shroud on isn't a bad thing either. For Gobblegums, I would suggest, of course, a Perkaholic if you have any. I would suggest the Wonder Bar to get some one of the ray guns from the box, maybe even the actual Wonder Weapon. I'm not sure if you can get it or you actually have to build it in the map just yet. I would also suggest Hidden Power for sure. Idolize is going to be a good one. Also, for the boss fight, I highly suggest having someone or yourself having cashbacks on, because max ammos inside of the boss fight are few and rare, so make sure you have that on. Aftertaste also is really good if you're playing on co-op. A Killjoy for an insta-kill would be absolutely phenomenal as well. We also, if you're playing solo, I would suggest having a soda fountain or an on the house if you don't have Perkaholic as well. That would be an absolutely also amazing thing to do to get yourself some free perks, as well as doing your TED tasks. Also, if you're playing co-op, make sure you have a Nowhere But There, a Phoenix Up, a near-death experience, anything like that in order to revive your teammates. Those will very, very, very much help you when it comes to the boss fight or anywhere in it. Any of the ultras are actually good, like the gift card, raindrops, again, near the death experience. So having any of those on will most likely help you in any way, shape, or form as well. So make sure that you do that. If you do have, I think it's flavor hex where you get a random ultra. If you have any flavor hexes, definitely use those as well, because again, you can get ultras as well. Also, if you have a shields up on too, because a shield armor plates are very hard to find inside of the boss fight from what I've seen as well. Moving on to our perks, you're going to want your augment on for equivalent exchange, which gives you 3 revives plus your regular self revive, or even in co-op by self revive, and you will have 4 revives from there, including your teammates. For Deadshot Daiquiri, I definitely say increase bullet damage to armor pieces, which is Dead Break, and having bullets deal double critical damage if an enemy is at full health, or its top one, which is going to be Double Jeopardy, which I would also suggest, or not Double Jeopardy, but the one at the top for doing successive damage. Anyways, for double tap, we're going to be using double time. I would suggest for fire rate, definitely double caliber for increased penetration damage through enemies, which also helps. So moving on, after you've turned on the power machine, I will have a separate video for how to turn on power inside of ASTRA MALORUM. We're going to head inside the Museum Infinium, and we're basically going to head over here to this left corner by where this crystal would spawn, and inside of this display case is going to be a bone saw. We're going to go ahead, break the glass, and pick up the bone saw for a later step. Moving on from that, we're going to go ahead and actually find one of these lampposts that are blinking around the map. There are several spawns. Just look at the lampposts out on the outside areas of the map, and you'll see one of them blinking like the one inside of my game is right here. Again, there is multiple spawns, so check the spawn location and anywhere on the outside areas, and one of your lampposts will be blinking after you've turned on power. Go ahead and just shoot it with your gun, and it will drop the aberrant wiring, which you will have to go ahead and pick up so you can use that later on. Next, we're actually going to wait for O.S.C.A.R to spawn in, and we're going to go ahead and shoot one of his discs and break it. Once you've broken one of his discs that gives him the shield, you'll be able to pick it up and it will be damaged drone. And now we have our second part for the Wonder Weapon. For our third part, we're going to head down to the spawn area, and we're going to head back to where old Tessie is. Once you have a pack-a-punch weapon, you're going to come down here and shoot the hood of the car, and you'll be able to pick up the car battery. Now, after you've picked up the car battery, a bunch of zombies with purple eyes are going to spawn in, so make sure that you take them out and be very, very careful when it comes down to it, because a lot of them will spawn in. Next, we're going to head over to one of the arsenal machines. We're going to go ahead and put cryo freeze on one of our weapons. Once you've put in cryo freeze on your weapon, we're going to run around the map and try to find those purple crystals that are scattered scattered throughout. We're going to head over to whichever one that we find, and you're just going to go ahead and shoot it. Now, once you've shot it with the cryo freeze on your weapon, you'll get this little crystal that pops out that is called an absolute zero fragment. You're going to go ahead, pick it up, and we need exactly 3 of these. So we're going to have to run around the map and find 2 more crystals, 3 in total, in order for us to have completed this. So again, find your second one, shoot it with the cryo freeze weapon, and pick up your second fragment, and then again find your third one, go ahead and shoot it, and pick up your third and final 0 fragment crystal. After you've done that, we now actually have to take and attract O.S.C.A.R so that we can take him to one of several traps around the map. Now, if you use the map, you can see where O.S.C.A.R is. He has like this horned, like devil looking image when he's walking around the map and he's patrolling. So just make sure you utilize your map as much as possible when it comes to finding out where exactly O.S.C.A.R is. Once you've found where O.S.C.A.R is, just go ahead, head to that point, and all you're going to want to do is shoot at him, run in front of him, do whatever you have to in order to attract him. So now it is going to take a little bit because you're going to have to attract him to several parts. Once you found him and you've attracted him, we're going to go ahead and bring him to the first trap that we are going to utilize with the 0 fragment crystals. Basically, we're going to take him back to the Museum Infinium, and we actually have to take him to this rocket ship that's inside of it in order for us to do our first step for this. So once you've got him inside of the museum, we're going to bring him over here to the rocket, and on this console over here, we're going to interact with it when O.S.C.A.R gets close. Once O.S.C.A.R gets close enough, go ahead and interact with it. It does a 5-second countdown, and you want to keep O.S.C.A.R inside of the white little pieces shooting out from the back of the rocket. If you've done it right, the screen will go white, O.S.C.A.R will die automatically, and you have completed your first trap for O.S.C.A.R, and then we can move on to our next one. Now, you will have to flip the rounds, like 1 or 2 rounds, until an O.S.C.A.R spawns, so keep that in mind. Every single time you do this, we need 4 O.S.C.A.Rs in total. Now, before we flip them around and we get another O.S.C.A.R, we're going to head inside of the Pack-a-Punch room where the telescope is. Now, if you look around, there's these consoles around the different area, and we actually have to find one that is steaming. Now, there's going to be one steaming every single time. It will take a little bit of a cooldown if you fail, but it'll be steaming like this. All you're going to do is go ahead and shoot it, and then you're going to run around the room trying to find the second one that is steaming, and so forth. You're going to have to do this at least 4 or 5 times, I want to say. I'm not 100% sure how many times it takes, but just keep doing it until the telescope moves. So there's several spawns. There's 2 underneath the telescope, there's 2 up top on the balcony area, and there's several around the room in the middle area. So again, we're going to go ahead and shoot our next one, and then we're going to find our next one after that. Now, if you're near it, you can actually hear it steaming, so make sure that you're listening. If you're really close, you'll hear it steaming, and then you can look around and figure out which area or which side of the room it is on. So again, we're going to go ahead and shoot our next one, which is going to be the one down here. And then we have, I think, 1 or 2 more that we have to shoot. So again, you are on a timer as well. So just make sure that you're doing this as fast as possible. Now, once you're done doing it, you'll actually see the telescope move, and you'll get an audio cue from the entity about the power of the heavens. So basically, now that we are done with that, we're going to actually head over to the organ, and you're going to see this little piece you can look into. Interact with it, and you'll be inside of the telescope, and you'll be able to move it around. Now, once you've done that, we actually have to look around for Mars. There is 2 different things on here. One is the sun, and one is Mars, so just make sure that you're looking around. Now, you do have limited time in here. It might kick you out, but you can just go right back in and move the telescope again, so keep that in mind. Once we've made it to Mars, we're going to go ahead and look directly at the middle of it, and right here, you're going to get, on the bottom section, the code. The DEC is going to be a code that we need for later, so make sure that you take a picture, write it down, remember it, whatever you got to do to remember it. It's going to be a 4-digit code every single time, but it will switch up every single game, so it's not always the same code, so keep that in mind. Next, we're going to go ahead and attract O.S.C.A.R once he's spawned in over to the other trap, which is going to be the telescope trap. So once again, go to O.S.C.A.R, shoot him, do whatever you have to, attract him, and then we're going to take him all the way to the pack-a-punch room. It does take a while, so make sure that you have him on you at all times and you don't accidentally lose him. Once he gets close enough, we're going to go ahead and interact with the telescope one more time, and we're actually going to move the telescope over to the sun. Now once you get over here to the sun, this giant laser is going to be shooting out from the telescope, and you actually have to bring O.S.C.A.R inside of that the same way that we did it with the rocket. So just go ahead and lead him over, and you want to try to like go back and forth if you can in case he doesn't stay. So once he starts glowing red like that, again, just keep him in and the screen will go white once again if you've done this correctly. He will die and disappear, and then you've done the second trap just like that. Pretty simple and pretty easy. Again, try to make sure that you can attract him and you don't accidentally take him out of the laser, or you will fail it and we'll have to wait for another opportunity to do it. Next, we're actually going to go ahead and head inside of this trap right over here inside of the luminarium. Now, we're going to go ahead and interact with the console, and we're going to place the disc, including the other items that we've gotten before, inside of here. Now, once this happens, once again, we're going to have to flip it around once or twice until an O.S.C.A.R spawns. Once you get an O.S.C.A.R to spawn, go ahead and attract him into the luminarium trap room, and we're actually going to have to go ahead and activate this one once again for him for the third and final time. So once he's inside of the room, go ahead, activate it, and this time you'll actually have a bar that will be filling up for overcharging his battery. Now, once you've done that and you've overcharged his battery, it will take a while. A bunch of zombies with purple eyes are going to come in. Also be ready, because once he shoots the thing at you and he makes the zombies more aggressive, it is going to be very difficult and very tight inside of this room. I also suggest do not use Aether Shroud at all when this is happening, because he will just leave the room completely and then you will end up failing this actual step. If you fail, all you have to do is go ahead and flip the round. Just don't kill O.S.C.A.R, just flip the round, and then you can redo this trap step once again. So again, if you do end up failing once or twice, just flip the round and you'll be able to do it again. Now, once you have completed this step, the room or the white light will happen again. O.S.C.A.R will be disabled, and he will drop the LGM-1, which is of course the wonder weapon of the map, and that is how you get our wonder weapon, just like that. Now, we actually have to do one more thing once again, which is of course to flip the round once or twice, and we actually have to get O.S.C.A.R to spawn in again. Now, once he spawns in again, all you have to do is follow behind him, and he will begin to play like playback recordings of him taking out different people. We actually have to hear and listen for a specific one, so just stay behind him. Don't let him move or let him spot you or anyone else. Try to keep everyone away if you're playing in co-op. If you're playing in solo, try not to shoot him by accident. Try not to get too close to him either. You're just going to listen to him. Now, he's going to go through like 3 or 4 different playbacks, but the one that you actually want to listen for and for him to actually speak on is going to be elimination playback number 20. Now, once he gets to elimination playback number 20, it's actually going to be him targeting Dr. Thurston, which is the one that you want. Thurston will say some stuff, but he'll also say "and remember," and then he'll say 3 different planets that you have to remember. So for me, it was Uranus, Earth, and Mercury. Again, in your game, it can be completely different, so keep that in mind. Whatever planet you got is going to be the planets of number code that you actually have to translate, which is going to be the planets furthest away from the sun and the closest to the sun. So as you guys can see here, I put this up on the screen to make it easier. Mercury would being the closest to the sun, Neptune would being the furthest one away, and these are the numbers that they're going to correspond with. So basically, whatever number they are away from the sun is what you're going to put. So for me, again, it was Uranus, Earth, and Mercury. Now, since it was Uranus, Earth, and Mercury, I'm going to put in the code 731. So as you guys can see right here, we're going to head over to this console inside of the Pack-a-Punch room and place in that code. Once you've placed in that code, this elevator will lower down for us, and we're going to go ahead, hop on this table right here, and then we're going to hop up on that elevator, and there's going to be a dead body on it that we have to actually interact with. Once you get up here, interact with the dead body, and you will get the cryo chamber key. Now, once you've gotten the cryo chamber key, this is what we're going to need the bone saw from that we picked up earlier. So we're going to head into this room right over here, which is inside the Machina Astalis. And then we're going to go ahead and open up this with the key, and we're going to actually saw out the brain from Thurston. Now the thing is, O.S.C.A.R will always spawn every time you open up the cryo chamber, so make sure that you just go ahead and grab the brain as fast as you possibly can. Once you've grabbed the brain, we're going to head inside the luminarium, right by where Jug is, and on this table is going to be this other brain canister. Interact with it to put Thurston's brain inside of the canister, and then interact with it one more time, and it will begin a defend kind of trial thing that we have to do. Now, from what I could tell, the zombies all come from one window on the left side. At least for me, they all just came from this window, but keep in mind they might not. So just go ahead and defend it. You have to defend it for a full minute and make sure that it doesn't take too much damage, or else you will have to restart, which once again, if you do fail, flip the round and restart it. Now, once you've done all of that and you've killed all of the zombies and you have defended the brain for a full minute, we're going to go ahead and have to actually take this brain to another part of the map. So you'll get a white light on your screen once again, and then the canister will begin to talk. Thurston will begin to speak with you, and we're going to go ahead and pick up the canister. Now, once you're carrying the canister, you cannot sprint whatsoever. So keep that in mind when walking through the map, and make sure that you know when to pick up the canister and when not to, because if you do it at the beginning of the round, most likely you will probably end up dead or losing one of your self revives. So make sure that you don't do it at the beginning of the round. Wait till the end of the round and hold a zombie for that. Once you have the canister, we're actually going to bring it back to the other side of the map, which is going to be the Machina Astalis, the same area inside of this big room where it's all yellowish. On this console over here is where we're going to go ahead and place Dr. Thurston's brain onto, and once we've done that, you're going to interact with it one more time to connect the perfusion machine. Once you've done that, the screen on the left side will begin to play back a book reading list from Dr. Thurston. Once it does that, you actually have to look at it and take down the books that he suggests. So go ahead and just take down. For me, it was the Veil, the Directive, it was the Void, and it was the Codex. Now, it can be a series of different numbers. It can be more than 4. It could be 5, 6. It could be 2 or 3. So keep that in mind when you're doing this. On this bookshelf over here, directly when you walk in the room, is going to be the Musica Universals, the Black Veil, and the Moon Directive. On the bookshelf over on the opposite side, that's also the bust that we're going to be using for this bookshelf. For this bookshelf on the opposite side is going to be Ash and Bone, Echoes of Andromeda, and the Unknowable Void. The bust for this one is going to be on the right side that we're going to have to go ahead and move. And for the third and final bookshelves is going to be Pyramids of Sedona, Silence at Singularity, and Witchlight Codex. So once you've gotten them, and the bust is going to be on the left side of that bookshelf right over here in the corner. Once you've gotten which books you actually have to do, we have to flip the bust at the beginning of the round. So for me, I had 2 books that were on this bookshelf, so we actually have to turn this bust 2 times. For me, I got 1 on this bookshelf, so we have to turn the bust 1 time. And for the third one, I got 1 book on this bookshelf, so we have to turn the bust 1 time as well. Now, once you flip the round, go ahead and turn the bust whatever number of times you have to for your game. So for me, again, I turned it twice, so it might take a couple of seconds once the round starts, but as soon as you can move it, go ahead and move it your number. So for me, I had twice, so I turned the bust twice. I then had to turn this one once, and then for the third and final one, I had to turn it once. Now, once you've done all 3 of those, you're then going to go ahead and climb up this ladder where this grate has opened. We're then going to grab the planet Neptune from up here, and we're going to head back into the other room where Dr. Thurston is. Now, once we head inside of this room over here, we're going to go ahead and actually have to place the planet Neptune up on one of the poles that have no planets on it. So we're going to head up the stairs up here, and we're going to go ahead and interact with this pole in order to place the planet Neptune. Once you've done that, it will spin around, and then it will stop wherever it goes. Once it's stopped, we now can begin our next section. Now, the 4-digit code that we took earlier from the telescope, we're going to have to place into a machine. But first, we're going to find these 3 pictures around the map that is going to have a planet on it in a certain direction for those planets. So the first spawn is going to be in the same room right over there on the desk that I just showed, and you're just going to go ahead and shoot whatever planet it is, and you're going to move it to whatever direction it has to be in. So as you guys can see on here, on the big giant sun, it will actually tell you which direction it is facing. And again, you're just going to go ahead and shoot it, line it up, and once you've done it with the first one, we can now move on to our next one. Now, our second spawn location for the next picture is actually going to be inside the luminarium, inside of the trap room. Once you head in here, we're going to head up the right side stairs, and at the end over here on this end table is going to be our second one, which for me is going to be the yellow planet with the ring around it, which is going to be northeast. Once you've gotten that, we're going to head back to the this room right over here, and we're going to do the same thing with the planet that we just got. Shoot the one with the yellow rings, or whatever planet it is that you guys have, shoot that planet to whatever direction, once again like we did with the first one. Now once we've done that, of course, and we've moved that in the right area that we actually have to, we can then move on to our third one. It might take a little bit because it does take a while to shoot it, line it up, figure out if you've lined it up the right way or not. So keep that in mind as well when you're doing it. Some of them might seem like they're a little bit off and they're not directly on where the arrow is pointing for the direction, but that still is fine just as long as you have it in that general vicinity. Now if at the end when you're done with all three of them and it doesn't work again, try to move it left or right a little bit more. The third and final area where the picture is going to be is inside of the library, sitting right here on this table. Once you've gotten that one, which probably, at least for me, for the couple of times I've done it, has been Neptune. For all of them, you're going to have to move Neptune at least once or twice, considering you had to pick it up. So Neptune is most likely going to be a planet that is in everyone's game. Don't take that as gospel, though. It is most likely. Now, once you've done that, if you actually have to go back to the pictures and figure out which direction it has to be in, the pictures will always be there. They won't disappear or nothing, so you could just run around and check those once again just to confirm if it is in the right areas. Once you've done that, we're going to head up to this console over here on the left side, and we're going to put in that 4-digit code that we got from the telescope earlier, the DEC code that I showed you guys earlier inside of the video. For me, it was 5820. So make sure, again, your code will be different every single game, so put in the correct code that you guys got from the DEC. Once you're done with that, we're going to head down to the console, and you're going to go ahead and interact with the console. Now once you've interacted with the console, it's going to begin a lockdown sequence. With this lockdown sequence, the portal is going to open to Mars, but O.S.C.A.R is going to spawn in, and you cannot kill O.S.C.A.R when this is happening. He will periodically fire discs from him into the portal to stop it from opening. So when this is happening, you have to shoot the discs and keep in mind to watch out for those discs. You have 2 minutes to get this portal open, and it might take a while. Again, he will continuously shoot them. So what I suggest doing in this case is having Casimirs, having Aether Shrouds, of course, in order to keep it easier for you to watch where the discs are going when they're going towards the portal, or having a sentry gun. A sentry gun worked very, very, very well for me inside of solo. It might even work even better inside of co-op, so keep that in mind to try to use a sentry and place it on the wooden beams up where O.S.C.A.R spawns in from. Now once you've done that, you can fail this pretty easily. Again, it is very hard to watch those while zombies are running around while he's buffing them and they're getting more aggressive. It is very, very, very difficult to try to shoot these, so keep that in mind when going towards this lockdown, and keep as much equipment on you as possible, and keep as much items that you will need to help you inside of this lockdown. Now if you fail the lockdown like we just did right here, basically you're gonna have to go ahead, flip the round, and then you can restart the lockdown. So try not to fail too many times, or else you'll just end up pushing yourself up higher in rounds, which is definitely the worst case scenario here. Once again, flip the round, hit the console again, and it will begin the lockdown again, and O.S.C.A.R will spawn right back in, and the same thing will be repeated. Now once you've completed this and you've actually succeeded in stopping all the saucers inside of it, we're now actually going to be transported to Mars. So this is basically what you want to do, is try to stand in the middle if you can, especially if you're in co-op, or again, if you're in solo, either Shrouds, Casimirs, Monkeys, whatever helps, and just shoot them as much as possible. Sometimes it feels like you're shooting at them, but you don't hit them, so it's a little bit janky. Again, though, once you've completed this, the white screen will happen, Oscar will be teleported out, and the teleporter to Mars will actually activate, and then you will be all sucked inside of the teleporter, and you will head directly to Mars. Now, once you've made it to Mars, as soon as you come down the stairs, you're going to see Thurston, who is going to spawn in from a portal directly in the middle of the map. All you're going to want to do is jump down and head towards the middle, where his brain is going to hit the ground, pick up the canister, and then we're going to head towards the stairs, and we're going to head right back up here, and there's going to be this little console in the middle of the area, and we're going to head over here and place down Dr. Thurston right there. Once you've done that, we actually have to interact with it one more time. Now, no zombies will spawn when this is happening, so keep that in mind. But once you've interacted with it the second time, zombies will begin to spawn. You're going to go ahead and connect the perfusion machine to this device here in the middle. Once you've done that, the portal back to the Dark Aether and back to ASTRA Malorium will open up, and you can actually leave Mars whenever you would like to, or you can come back to Mars whenever you would like to as well. Once again, zombies will spawn. Now, we're going to head to an arsenal machine, and we're actually going to go ahead and put on fireworks this time on our gun, and then we're going to head back over to Mars. Once we've made it back over to Mars, if you look outside of the map by this window on the left or right side, there's going to be 4 towers out here that you're going to have to shoot with firework. You have to shoot it back right, back left, front right, front left, and then right behind us in the middle on the top is going to be a 5th one that we're going to have to shoot. So once you've shot all 4 of these and they've blown up and they've made the noise that they're supposed to, go ahead and shoot the middle one. Again, I suggest being at the end of the round, having 1 zombie left when doing this. But once you've done that, a bird will spawn in, and you actually have to collect this bird and keep it inside of the map. So how do you do that? Basically, that middle one, the last one that we shot, we have to continue to shoot in order to keep the bird from leaving the area. Now, what you want is, if you're in co-op, have someone take or try to capture the bird while you're shooting at it yourself, or whoever has fireworks. In solo, it's a little bit more difficult. We have to keep shooting at it and keeping the bird in while trying to collect the bird yourself. Now, I'm not sure how many times you're actually supposed to shoot it to keep the bird in. I just continuously stood in one place and just kept shooting at it while my friend was grabbing it. So keep that in mind. In solo, again, very, very difficult, especially when watching a zombie, having to shoot the thing and pick up the bird all at the exact same time. Now, once you've picked up the bird, we're going to head over here to this side of the temple, and there's going to be this machine right here. We're going to go ahead and place the bird inside. Once you've placed the bird inside, you'll get a message from Thurston, who is going to tell you basically it is not going to help us at all. We actually have to start a music thing in order to soothe it so it can help us. Once you look at the pillars after doing that, we're going to take the wonder weapon and we're going to go ahead and shoot the top of each of these pillars, and it will light them up blue at the base of it. So just go around shooting them all. You can shoot them in any order as well, so don't get hesitant about shooting it in any correct order. You could just shoot them as you feel like. Just shoot the top of them and they will all glow blue. The 5th one is going to be on the right side, right behind where we just placed the eye, just so you guys know. And once you have all 5 of these lit up and they're all blue, we're now going to have to head back to the Dark Aether, back to ASTRA Malorium, and we're actually going to have to go ahead and find a code on how to interact with these. So head back to the Pack-a-Punch room, and if you look at the organ right here, there's going to be a screen over here on the right. We're going to go ahead and interact with the screen, and this screen is going to tell us our code. You can re-interact with it every time. You don't have to flip around or nothing, so just make sure that you're doing that and you're watching for which one is which and which order you actually have to shoot it on. I will have a cheat sheet on the screen for you guys just in case, so you guys can do it yourselves as well. Now, once you've done that, we're going to head back to Mars, and we're going to look at the base of the pillars, and we're going to match up with the base of the pillars what we saw on the organ screen back in ASTRA Malorium, and you're going to hit them in the correct order. Now, you know you've done it in the correct order when they glow blue. If they don't glow blue and it does like a red flash, or they turn red like this one was that you guys just saw, that means that you have failed and you actually have to flip the round in order to retry this. Once again, you want to try to do this your first or second attempt, and you don't want to push the rounds way too much like I did here. Now, here's me doing it correctly in the correct order that I had. Again, every order changes for everyone in every game, but once you've done that, you'll see them glow blue, and then you have a time limit once you hit the first one to get the rest of them. So make sure that you're running around as fast as possible and hitting them in the correct order that you have to. So boom, and then our fifth and final one, we're going to go ahead and hit it. And once we've hit the fifth and final one, the lights will go white again on your screen, and then you are basically ready completely for the boss fight. Now, again, here you're going to want to push some rounds, prep up as much as possible. I suggest having Casimir's, monkeys, Aether Shrouds, anything possible, having Pack-a-Punch 3 weaponry, everything that I said inside of the intro of the video, all of those items, definitely make sure that you have. And anything I also suggest having for the ammo mods, Shatter Blast for armor, having any weapon that I said at the beginning, the Nova line, any assault rifle, anything that does increased amounts of damage, especially the Mirage, is absolutely amazing, and anything that really helps destroy armor. Now, for our first phase of this boss fight, we're going to have to actually charge a gun on the right side with zombie souls, so make sure that you're killing zombie souls, or killing zombies to get their souls into it, and the boss will only have this like weird laser attack so far, including the regular zombies that are going to spawn. Now, once you've actually went ahead and filled up the gun on the right side, the screen will go white once again. It's a lot of screen going white to basically tell you you've done a step correctly, so keep that in mind. And all you're going to do, it's going to take a little bit to fill up these guns, but once you are done filling them up and the screen has gone white, we're going to head up the stairs to the middle, and we're going to head to Thurston, and we'll actually have to activate him and interact with him for a couple of seconds. Once you've done that, the laser will fire at the giant skull in the sky, and it will do massive damage to it. Once we've done it with the first one, we're going to have to repeat that exact same step with the one on the left. Now, in the second phase of this boss fight, the skull will actually have a new ability where it can drop meteors down, and as you guys can see the fire on the ground here, if the meteor hits the ground, it will cause an area of wherever area it hit to be a little bit off limits for a certain amount of time. It's not too long, but it does really get hectic when it's firing like 2 or 3 meteors at you and a bunch of areas are cut off that you really can't run to or run through. Once you've done the second one, charged up the gun, and interacted with Thurston again, the laser is going to hit the skull one more time, and now we have to do both of the guns at the exact same time. So go ahead, kill zombies once again, and their souls will fill up both of the guns as fast as possible. Now, for this third phase, it's going to have the laser strike, the meteor strike, but chemical zombies are going to spawn in. When these chemical zombies spawn in, after a certain amount, I want to suggest a certain amount of kills of these chemical zombies, the bottom floor will actually fill directly with nothing but chemical gas, and you cannot be inside of the chemical gas or else you will go down and you will get hurt a lot. So you actually have to head back up to the top floor, and you have to stay up here for a little bit before the chemicals clear from the bottom level before you can head back down. So it makes it very hectic, especially during this phase, and it makes things very stressful, especially in co-op with 3 people up there all at the exact same time in such a small area. Once you've completed that phase though, and the white flash happens, go ahead, interact with Thurston one more time, and then he will fire both of the lasers directly at the skull at the top, and the skull will break open, and a bunch of meteors will come flying down just like this. Once this happens, the actual boss fight basically begins at this point. Now the boss is actually on the ground as like a big giant stone golem thing, and you actually have to shoot its arms in order to break its armor, and then to get to reveal its critical area. So you'll have to shoot at it a couple of times. In this first phase, it only has a small rock throw, and then of course hitting you if it gets close enough. So you just want to maneuver around and run around as much as possible and shoot its critical areas after you've broken the armor as much as possible. So just keep on the move as much as possible. It doesn't spawn too many zombies in, from what I could tell. No mimics spawn in like they did in the first phase. No chemical zombies spawn in like it did in the first phase. So it's pretty simple for this first ground phase as far as possible. I would also suggest having yourself a sentry gun to place down, because the sentry gun does massive damage in not only just killing zombies, but it also will hit the boss in critical areas as well, so keep that in mind. I highly suggest having at least one if you're playing solo, or a couple of sentry guns. After you've done the first phase of it on the ground, it's actually going to go into an immune phase, and you're just going to have to kill zombies and wait for the boss to come out of its immune phase before you can do any more damage to it. It's going to do this 3 times with 4 different phases on the ground, 5 phases including the skull. Now for this next phase, it's going to get a little bit more difficult. Now the golem boss is going to be bigger. It's going to be throwing bigger boulders at you instead of the small rocks it was before, and it actually has a ground pound ability where basically it hits the ground and will cause like a shockwave towards you. Now if you have no armor plates, from what I can tell, at least for me, you will get down almost instantly if it does the ground pound ability, no matter where you are. As you guys can see, I was up here and I still got hit by the ground pound somehow, even though I thought that the higher elevation would keep it away. Again, it can insta down you, so make sure that you keep in mind and you're watching the boss when you're doing this. And you're just going to continue, of course, to run around shooting and breaking its armor, shooting its critical spot, and doing as much damage as possible. Now, most of the phases after this are basically the same. There's 2 more phases and then you will be completely done. Once you finish this phase, you'll get an immune phase. You have to do another phase, immune phase, and then you're done, basically. So with that being said, that is basically Astra Malorum's Easter egg right then and there. So if you guys have any questions, let me know down in the comment section below. If there's any new added stuff, I'll leave it in the description below. I'll leave it somewhere on the video or make another video speaking on that stuff. Anyways, hopefully this helps you guys. Let me know down again in the comment section below if this video helps you guys out. And with that being said, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content. We'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye, and remember to stay timeless.